Be watchful, be alert, for you do not know when the time will come. Let me tell you a story. Some time ago, I remember we all had to take a mandatory training class on earthquake preparation. Now, living in California, this makes sense because there are earthquakes here in California, and sometimes they come out of nowhere. And so the reasoning is that we all have to be trained so that we can be prepared and know what to do when it does happen. Of course, we take this course for our own safety, we're told. And we're taught, for example, about duck and cover, what to do and what not to do in an emergency, why not to panic, to just remain calm and make sure we're not inside any structures that can collapse. Now, I'll admit, some of it was a little boring. And unfortunately, many in the class, it seems, did not take it seriously. So during the break, there was a group of us talking and joking around saying, yeah, this probably doesn't happen and not to me. So why should I worry? Also, there's talks about preparing food in case of emergency, having the flashlight ready and other equipments just in case. And so on the one hand, we can get cynical about over preparation, but then on the other hand, we just don't know when the next earthquake will strike. Now, reflecting back on this experience, the important takeaway is this: be watchful, be alert. You do not know when the time will come. Does this sound familiar? Perhaps for some of you it does. This gospel passage is found in the Gospel of St. Mark, chapter 13, verses 33. Here, in fact, we'll do a reflection on verses 33 to 37 of chapter 13 of the Gospel of St. Matthew, which you hear read on the first Sunday of Advent in year B. And just a reminder, if you are interested in weekly reflections, please be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. So let's begin. In the liturgical calendar, the first Sunday of Advent always starts a new liturgical year. So we are in a new liturgical year, this year, year B, which always covers the Gospel of St. Mark. Now, for those who are not familiar, the Sunday Gospel readings are organized in a 3-year cycle. So in cycle A, the Gospel readings come from St. Matthew. In cycle B, it comes from St. Mark. In cycle C, it comes from St. Luke. Now, I know some of you are wondering, well, what about the Gospel of St. John? Where does that fit into the readings? Well, the answer is that it's used during the Lenten season, the Easter season, Christmas season, and then you see it like interspersed throughout the liturgical year every year. For example, in cycle B, during the summertime, we read from the Gospel of St. John chapter 6, which is essentially about the Eucharist. Now, if you're interested in learning more about the liturgical year and how it all works, I'll put a link to that video in the description below. Anyways, let's get back to our reflection here. So on the first Sunday of Advent every year, the gospel reflection is always about being alert and being prepared, whether we are in the liturgical year cycle A or B or C. The first Sunday of Advent is always about preparation. So why is being prepared important? Well, in the world of personal development and self-help, we often hear of this phrase, preparation, because those who are prepared will always do better than those who are not prepared. Whether it's preparing for an exam, for a meeting, for an event, for an activity, this is true. I'm sure you'll agree based on experiences in your own personal life. Think about the last time you came to a meeting unprepared, or take an exam you were not ready for. What was that like? Well, let me guess. You're probably thinking to yourself saying, I wish I could have been more prepared. I would do so much better. Or you would say something like that, right? Here's the point. You can always do better if you are alert and prepared. Let's then turn to the example from the gospel passage itself. Here's what it says. It is like a man traveling abroad. He leaves home and places his servants in charge, each with his work. and orders the gatekeeper to be on the watch. Watch, therefore. You do not know when the Lord of the house is coming, whether in the evening or at midnight or at cockcrow or in the morning. May he not come suddenly and find you sleeping. Okay, so I think we all got this passage, right? We all got the point. The point is to be alert, to be prepared, because you don't know when the traveling man will return. In a similar way, we don't know when the end of the world is, and Jesus Christ returns in his glory to judge us for our actions. It's like the saying, live every single day to your fullest as if it is your last, because you don't know if you will have tomorrow. Now, I think we've covered enough about the physical and the human level of being alert and being prepared. Let's go deeper into what this gospel is all about. It's about being alert. It's about being prepared in the spiritual sense. Just like in our own life, it's important to be prepared. In our own spiritual life, it's important for us to be prepared as well. So what is spiritual preparation? Well, think about your own spiritual life for a minute. Let me ask you, how is your spiritual life? Are you spending time in prayer and reflection with God each day? Are you spending time building up your spiritual life, drawing closer to God? Because seasons like Advent and Lent are good opportunities for us to do just that. They are great reminders to us to focus on our own spiritual life, to focus on our interior life with God. Because at the end of our life, when everything fades away, it comes down to our relationship with God. And so the question comes down to this: are you spiritually ready right now? If you die right now, right this minute, are you ready? Are you prepared? Now, many of us think, for example, I'm still a young person. I don't need to be prepared yet. Maybe in 5, 10, 20 years, I'll start getting serious about my own spiritual life. I'll do a couple of good works, and then God will, in his mercy, love me and forgive me for all of my sins. We can easily come up with excuses about why we don't need to help out other people right now. Because we are busy with school and can't do it. Maybe we're busy with work and can't do it. Maybe because we're busy taking care of our children, our family, or a long list of many, many, many other excuses that we have, just so we don't have to take care of our own spiritual life and to take it seriously. So then, what do we do with our time? We spend so much time on the computer, surfing through the internet, perhaps wasting time on our phones and on social media, scrolling through random feeds. We spend time on TV watching endless entertainment, etc. Here's my point. Jesus is speaking in this very passage about spiritual preparation, being ready for him to come. The first time as a child on Christmas Day, and this whole time in Advent, it's about being ready and prepared. But then also the second preparation, the second time that Jesus comes as judge in his glory. So then how do we prepare? Well, building our spiritual life, building our relationship with Jesus Christ, by putting into practice what Jesus teaches us, namely by loving God and our neighbor. Sounds easy, but as you can imagine, it's difficult to do. There is a saying that knowledge is power. And if knowledge is power, then it's clear that if we know when the time will come, we know we will be alert and watchful for it. This is normal. Jesus even makes this point in other passages in the gospel. For example, take a look at the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 24, verses 43. Here's what it says. Be sure of this. If the master of the house had known the hour of night when the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and not let his house be broken into. This sounds familiar, right? Or think about the story I shared earlier about earthquake preparation. If we knew exactly when the earthquake is going to come, then we'll be ready for it, right? Well, the problem is we don't know when it will come. We don't know when the time will come. And then we're set into complacency, and then something bad happens. That's what we have to watch out for. So then now is the time, as we tie this message of preparation back into the season we're in, think about it. We're on the first Sunday of Advent, which is the start of a new liturgical year. And we're always reminded to be ready, to be alert, to be prepared. Well, Advent is a time of preparation. Just like if we have some important guests coming to our house, for example, we would prepare by making the house nice and tidy, right? Well, the same thing with preparing spiritually. Now you may be wondering, preparation for what? Well, certainly for Christmas, for Christ to come into the world and into our life. We celebrate this special day every year because it's a reminder of God's great love for us, that He became human, that the Word was made flesh. So as we prepare and decorate our homes with nice Christmas ornaments like Christmas trees, lights, decorations, remember the main reason for this very season of Christmas, the birth of Jesus. And so the message for the first Sunday of Advent is simply this: be watchful, be alert. My question to you is this: are you ready? Are you prepared? May God bless you.